welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percitas Paradox. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate you and your time. If you are new to this channel, thank you so much for joining me. And if you're an OG, you know the rules. Thank you, as always, for your continued support. So today, what shall we talk about? I think today is really getting close to the holidays, and I don't know about you, but I'm in a reflective place of really trying to hone in on my goals. And you might say, well, what are you talking about, Percita? You talking about personal goals? You're talking about, financial goals? Let's just say a little bit of everything, because during this time of the year, it gets really tricky with like gifts and like who you're going to give them to. And, adults, do you gift them? Do you just take them out? Like, what do you do? And then I started to realize that I make such a big deal out of it that I overwork myself. And when I say my goals and overworking myself and why they kind of run neck and neck is because I really have to identify what my goals are when I'm trying to gift people. Now, you might say that should not be that overwhelming, but for me, it is. So just coming from a real place, I just wanted to express myself today and like really become transparent in something that I'm struggling with, right? And this is something that I'm struggling with. It's crazy because I never really know who's expecting a gift and who's not expecting a gift. And you try to walk in this place that you don't really care and, everyone will understand and so on and so forth. But through the years, I've actually understood without wanting to understand that some people take gifting very personal. And what I mean by that is if they don't get what they think they should get from you, it gets a little weird. So I just wanted to come and express how stressful it is for me to keep my goal in perspective of making sure that I am gifting people what I want to give them. That might sound a little selfish, but let me be clear. Let me clear it up a little bit. What I'm referring to is just the premise of I want you to know what you mean to me in a way that I can express it and you can understand it, but also that you understand it's coming from me. And the goal is for the person to receive it, right? So my point is that I want to make sure that I'm giving what I want to give because I think that's a more authentic way of giving. Some people would say, well, you want to give a gift that the person would appreciate. Well, I think that comes without stating. I mean, it's fairly obvious. But for the people who need me to say that, yes, you still want to make sure that that coincides with what the person is about or who they are and so on and so forth. But I feel like if they're important to you, you've been observant their entire relationship, right? Or your entire relationship with them. And absolutely this entire year. You've had enough conversations with them to find out what it is that they're either discussing that they need or want in their life or something that they want to do or something of the sort. So I think what I'm saying is that I want you to know if I'm gifting you something that it's coming from me, but it's what I want to give you and not necessarily an idea of trying to outdo someone. Now you might say, where did that come from? Girl, let me be clear. What I mean is, it's just the premise of so many people in your life without even trying go into this thing of trying to out-gift you. And some people go like, girl, I'm completely over that. We don't have that in our family. Good for you. Very proud of you. My family, not the same. There is an out-gifting of one another. There is an idea of trying to make sure that your tangible gift would show in an expression of how you feel about them. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about the expensive gifts. I'm all about the luxury trips and I'm all about all of that greatness as far as financially splurging. But in the exact same breath, I do want my gifts to come from a place of authenticity, right? So what that would mean for me is to really identify, like I said, things that I have heard or kind of watched or just observed through our transactions over at least this year with the persons that I care about and really come up with an idea of what it is they want. Now, in saying all of that, you might say, well, okay, in saying that, what is the question of the day? The question of the day then would become, how authentic are you in being a gift giver? And what I mean by that is, do you find yourself begrudgingly buying things because you feel like they're expected? That can get a little tricky, especially when it comes to like the smaller ones, the kids and so forth, because we are in an era, well, I think we've always been in an era, right? I mean, it's always really been about getting these special things for the holidays, specifically for your childhood, and you remember them as the years go on. And some of us remember the things that we did not get, and you were still a little great and upset about it. But in the exact same breath, what I'm asking is, when you say to yourself, like, is the gift coming from an authentic place? The question would still come up in an idea of what I started with, which is I struggle with making sure that I am not in any place other than authentic in gifting, even when it comes to my children. And I don't really have children. I have 2 adults and a child. But with that being said, technology has taken over. So typically there's not a lot of things that you can buy your children these days that fit under the tree if they're over the age of 12. For my child, it started at about 10, where he didn't really want a lot of things. He loves books and he loves gaming. Pretty much all that we have. Clothes, he can care less about, and everything in between. So I think it becomes very difficult for somebody like him. But, for the children, I remember when my children were younger, you could enjoy, plumping up the tree, and people love to do that. And I love to do it, and taking pictures of it and putting it on Instagram and showing everybody all the great stuff. But what happens when it gets to a point where that actually is not the case? What happens when you're not really in the Christmas spirit and want to literally relax, but you still know that there's some weird innuendo and expectation from you to give out gifts? There's the next question. Do you actually give out gifts when you're not in the spirit? I have a few friends, actually. I was pretty taken aback by how many people decided that they weren't really going to celebrate Christmas in the sense of the outward expression of putting up Christmas trees and buying gifts and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I was just shook slightly by how many people who felt that way. And some people feel that way, for one reason or another. I won't even go into specifics, but what I will say is that it still is interesting to see the energy of what Christmas brings. It can bring out some really nastiness in people. It can bring out a lot of arguing in people and a lot of hurt in people. And you would think that this is a merry time of the year and people really be in a bliss, happy place. But I've come to the realization after a good number of years of life that that's not necessarily all the case. So for me, I'm always trying to be conscious of just where people are in their life and not really pushing any buttons, and still remaining authentic and still being conscious of what I'm giving and still making sure that those gifts that I'm trying to give are authentic. So I thought today was a great opportunity to really get you to ponder, what are your intentions when you actually gift during this time? And do you actually pay attention to the temperament of the person that you're giving to? Because I have seen so many times that people will buy a gift for someone and they don't receive it the way they want, even if it was an authentic gift, right? And it breaks a relationship. It breaks up a friendship, breaks up siblingisms and things like that. And it's just one of those identities in my mind to say, you really want to be conscious. You really want to make sure that you're taking the time. If you have a prayer life, I suggest you do that. If you can communicate with people and really be in a space of just love, I think gifts come off better. If a financial situation is where you are and you're not in a place to give anything tangible, there are plenty of things to do in regards to that love being shown and still gifting someone. Hell, sometimes you can even make a phone call. You can write a card. You can send a voicemail. You can Zoom. You can FaceTime. There's multitudes of things that you can do to show your love for someone. So please, if you think that this video is only about the tangible things, let me be clear and say there's a plethora of things that you can do to remain authentic during the season. But the key is to remain authentic and aware. Because as I'm saying, so many people are still having repercussions from the last year and a half. We definitely are still going into next year, still dealing with backlash of whatever it is that we're in. People are getting booster shots. People are still passing away from COVID and other symptoms that are not related but are complicating the situation more. So let's just be conscious, right? Let's just do this thing that we do where we're just aware of where we are, and we also are aware of the people that we love. Like I said, do not make it necessarily only about the tangible gift, but if you're able to give a tangible gift, please be conscious of who you're giving it to. And if you are the person who feels as if you never get heard, please, please, please don't take it personal. Allow that person to grow. Allow them to try to understand what they're going through. A lot of times, people don't really even know that they're not really being attentive to what it is that you need, even if you verbalized it. There's a lot of underlined hurt and a lot of things that people go through without expressing them. And that's for also a plethora of reasons. But we want to be clear. We want to be as loving as we can during this season. And we want to be in a position where we can absolutely give our best self. And in doing that, it comes from a place of love, period, point in the blank. Even if it's somebody that you don't find yourself really wanting to communicate with. And I'm not telling you to do it during the holiday season at all, but what I am saying is to literally give them the benefit of the doubt. That doesn't mean you have to verbalize that to them, but from your inner soul, give them the benefit of the doubt so that you can move on and not harbor any anxiety or anger or anything of the sort, because you really don't want to go into yet another year with that mindset, let alone during the holiday season. So I just wanted to come on board today and just talk to you about what I was going through over the last couple of days. And I'm sure I'm going to stress out a little bit more over the coming days because, like I said, there's some people that I want to give some tangible gifts to, and there's some people that I want to give some emotional, spiritual gifts to, and I need them all to be coming from a place of peace and from a place of love. That means that I have to be in a loving place, and I have to be in a space of receiving and accepting myself. And this is just the time of the year that can get really chaotic. It can get really overwhelming, especially when, for somebody like me, in 2 weeks, I am on vacation for 3 weeks. Thank you, Jesus. And with that being said, I have a lot of work, a lot of things that I need to do, and that can just bring forth a lot of frustration. So I want to greet you in this spirit of love and growth and admiration towards the identity of authenticity, and making sure that you are doing everything you can to exude your love during this holiday season. So, as always, you know what I'm going to say. It's 3 things I need for you to do. Live life authentic. Live life authentic. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate you. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.